Hi everyone, it's Marie here. Uh, Joining you today to talk a little bit about end of year performance reviews for your partner. I know I've done uh, blog posts about this topic in the past, but it's interesting how it keeps coming back. This seems to be a topic that people are extremely interested in, and so I want to talk on and this year give you actually a quick primer on how to get it done very, very quickly, especially if you've never done a review of your partner before. So I think the last time that I spoke about partner reviews, annual partner reviews, give you kind of a rundown of what my process is like. This year, I wanted to provide everyone with a little bit more of a tutorial or guide on how to actually start this process. And so I came up with a quick little 6 name mnemonic or tool to help you remember how to go about this process. And so, if you're considering having a partner review for this year, of course, the first step is going to actually approach your partner about it, get them to agree to doing this. Because, of course, if there's resistance, that's already starting off on the wrong foot if someone doesn't want this kind of feedback, because it is very direct and it's going to get very personal and very close to the heart. But once you've agreed that the two of you are going to embark on this process, the first step is to pick and choose, pick and choose. And so you're going to pick what your categories are that you're going to review each other on. I know some common categories that my partner and I have used over the years have been housekeeping, in-law interaction, intimacy, which can be a popular one. But pick what your categories are, agree on what it is that's important to you in your relationship. I think the first time that you're starting out, you're probably going to want to go with fewer categories rather than more, just because it does take a lot of time to actually discuss and go back and forth on each one of these things when it comes time to the discussion. So pick your categories. The choose part is choosing what rating system you're going to use to score each other or actually evaluate each other. So maybe you want to do a numeric system or a grading system. I've done the 4.0 GPA scale before, and so giving my partner an A or a B or a B plus, and then that enables me then to come up with some type of cumulative GPA for the period that we're rating against. But you don't have to do that, right? You could do like a star system or just a straight numeric 1 through 5 or 1 through 10 or a star rating system. But whatever system that you decide, choose how you're going to actually be rating each other. And that's just an important tool because you want that to be consistent over time so that you can actually look back and see growth and slope and change, and it provides a baseline for how you rate each other going forward. The second part of creating this partner review process is to write and read the reviews. So of course, once you come up with the categories and the scoring system, you're going to sit down and actually write a review of your partner for each of those categories. And that can be as long or as short as you feel is appropriate. I tend to be a longer writer. My partner, my husband, tends to be much more brief in his reviews. Either way is completely fine. And then, of course, assigning the value according to the rating system that you elected. When you're writing these reviews, make sure the other person isn't reading it until there's an appointed time for them to do so. So the way that we do that is we both write them separately, I for him for me, and then we don't share them with each other until the set deadline that we've agreed to share. And before we share, we make sure, hey, did you do yours? Mine's done. Is yours done? Because we want to make sure that one person isn't going to read any part of their review before they've actually written the review of the other person, right? We're trying to keep it as unbiased and as honest as possible. And once you share the reviews, then there's, of course, the reading of the reviews, and then nothing happens, right? You write them, you share them, you read them. And that brings us to the third step of the process, which is wait and date. And this part is, I think, probably the most important part. This is because after you receive your review, you're not going to discuss it for a minimum 48-hour waiting period. And that's so that you actually have time to digest the feedback, consider the perspective of the other person, and it hopefully avoids us being too reactionary when we get this feedback from this person who we care about and love very, very much. And then the date part is the actual discussion, the actual review event, if you will. And for the date part, we do try to make this a dedicated evening that we've set aside. We know the date in advance because, of course, that's 48 hours after whatever our deadline is for submitting the reviews. And on the date, we make sure that we bring any notes or any additional questions or points that we want to discuss on a separate piece of paper, or we'll have it on our device so that it's easy to get right into the conversation. Usually the actual discussion part of the review, the date part, is at least a good 2-hour conversation. So make sure you pick a place that's going to allow you to sit down for that. Also, we turn it into the best date night of the year. If you remember me talking about this last year. And so pick a place that you're going to really enjoy sitting down and eating, where there's going to be a good atmosphere. And if it runs long, make sure you have a backup place in mind so you can continue the conversation once dinner's done and you're just kind of sipping waters, talking to each other about, personal upkeep and physical appearance and all of those things. And so that's the date part. And so, of course, the conversation can get difficult. And so I do recommend using the same tips around feedback that you would use if you were talking to someone that wasn't in your personal life, right? So try to keep it objective, stating facts, talking about the impacts, and staying focused on your goals as a couple, because of course those things change over time, but that's where the conversation should always be centered. What is your goal as a couple as you go together? So that's it for my annual reviews with your partner. It's pick and choose, pick and choose, read and write, and then a wait and date. Let me know if you go through the process and how it goes for you. Can't wait to hear. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.